Instead, I swung the spear around, cracking her across the head with its handle, hard enough to splinter the wood. The unicorn raider fell at my feet, unconscious. I looked up. Monterey was standing, chest heaving, over the body of the Earth Pony Raider, the life choked out of her. He was staring at me quietly, then finally raised a forehoof, only for the chain to clank tight before he had to move a few more inches to the ground. Oh, dropping the spear shovel, I turned on the light of my pit buck and reached about for my screwdriver. I had lost the bobby pin. There was no chance of finding it in the dirt at night. But I had more. Once we were both free, Monterey limped slowly over to the bridge. A moment later, he returned, his horn glowing a gentle beige. Sawed-off shotgun followed him. Before I could react, he aimed at the head of the unconscious raider pony and fired. Her blood began to seep across the ground towards my hooves. I watched in stunned silence as he turned and began prodding the bodies, tugging items from them. Finally, I found my voice. "What are you doing?" He looked at me as if I was stupid. "Checking to see if they have anything valuable on them. With luck, food." I nodded, watching him move to the bodies at the end of the bridge. Looting the bodies of the dead felt wrong, but a cold, irrational part of me murmured that it was a qualm I would have to get over in order to survive. And imagine how embarrassed I'd be if I'd starved to death out here because I'd been too shy to check a dead pony's bags for a pouch of oats or a can of old applesauce. I moved a bit further down the bridge. I looked over the body of a dead raider pony, his face bloody and torn from Cracker's pony shoes. I started to go through the pockets of his barding, but my stomach rebelled, and I flung myself to the railing, heaving my lunch into the foul river below. A large break in the clouds brought a soft and silvery light to everything, and I could see my reflection in the water, still covered with Cager's drying blood. Then I saw a sawed-off shotgun hovering in the air behind my head. "I'll be taking what you have, too," Monterey Jack informed me with a bored drawl. "But what?" I turned slowly to see him standing on the bridge, bathed in moonlight, his horn glowing a soft beige light. The shotgun floated between us, pointed at me. But I just saved you." "Yeah, and for that, I'm not gonna kill you." His eyes narrowed. "Unless, of course, you do something stupid right now." "But I just saved you." "Aren't you the top of your class?" he said snidely. "We should work together, travel together." Monterey snorted. "And split our limited provisions? Go to sleep with one eye open each night, hoping to catch you when you try to stab me in the back? No thanks." My righteous disbelief stopped short of denial. Suddenly, I was so very weary. Nodding, I lowered my head and let my 2 canteens slip free. Then I backed up so he could approach them. I turned my head to start unclasping my saddlebags. I saw it on the bridge just beyond my tail. Turning back to Monterey, my own horn was glowing, and the combat shotgun whipped into the air. For a long time, we stood there, 2 unicorn ponies on the bridge, surrounded by bodies, shotguns floating between us, aiming at each other. Moonlight shone down on us from the break in the clouds. Monterey Jack broke the silence. "You're not gonna use that. I saw you spare the raider. If you couldn't kill a pony like that, you don't have it in you to kill me." I narrowed my eyes. "I'm a quick study." He huffed, but he didn't move. "Do you even know how to use that thing?" I forced a smile across my face. "Do you know that you only have 1 shot left? And judging by the sprite bot, that gun is in such poor repair, I'll survive being shot with it. Will you survive being shot with this as many times as I can move the trigger while you try to reload?" Monterey Jack took a step back, and with that falter, my smile was no longer forced. "And I'll be taking my canteens back." Ponyville. I wondered just how my pickbuck knew the names of these places before I did. It even named the wreckage of the building that I had just slipped into. Ponyville was raider territory. I just hoped that this place, this carousel boutique, was not crawling with them. Monterey Jack and I barely parted ways when the railing of the bridge exploded next to me. A sniper! The same pony who had probably turned Cager's head into applesauce. I fled into the town, keeping to what cover there was. Few of the buildings were intact enough to hide in. This was the closest. Fortunately, I was alone. I waited for nearly an hour, curled up in the shadow of the door. But the sniper pony seemed uninspired to follow me. No, she or he could just wait until I came out. Fatigue washed over me. I had stayed up all the night before, and this night's events were a strain on both body and spirit. My muscles were weak and achy. My body hurt from the kicks I had taken. I felt emotionally played out. I needed to sleep. Sleeping here was probably a horrible idea. If I woke up at all, it could be in the hooves of slavers, raiders, or possibly worse. But going back outside, finding someplace better, it just wasn't on the table. I was in no shape to test my wits against the sniper pony again. Carousel Boutique was quite similar in condition to the building up at the Sweet Apple Acres. Only the looting was more destructive. The walls had been painted with crude images of violence and cruder swear words. A pile of torn-up cloth rotted in the corner, smelling foul, like ponies had urinated on it repeatedly. There were 2 beds, one of which was stained deeply with blood, and probably more vile things. The other was smaller, a foal's bed, nothing but a mattress on a crushed frame. In my state, I felt it would do wonderfully. The Carousel Boutique offered 2 more treasures, a locked chest and another terminal, identical to the one at Sweet Apple Acres. This one too was still functional, again to my surprise. It was locked. Slipping out my access tool, I went to work. These terminals were crafted by some of the same ponies who later made the pip-bucks, and the encryptions and locks were similar enough that my tools allowed me to get part way through the security. What remained was a puzzle, finding the password within strands of code that my access tool laid bare. In my fried mental state, it was probably a small miracle that I was able to parse the code and find the password. Or possibly not. The password was Apple. I laughed aloud, catching myself when I heard the volume of my own voice in the stillness of the decrepit boutique, as I realized that, beyond all realistic chance, this was the computer that the message had been sent to. With an unwarranted feeling of accomplishment, I downloaded it, and it let my pip-buck do the rest. Age had damaged the recording, but there was enough audio for me to recognize that same female voice, kinda sweet, with an odd accent, that had many hours before revealed me the code that led me out of my old life and into this new horrible one. Special instructions for Stable 2. That's my family down there. Until the poison is gone from up there, this door doesn't open for any pony. The voice faded in and out of static. Know you hate this, Sweetie Belle, but you're an overmare now. The overmare of the most important stable in all of Equestria. I need you to do this for me, to keep them safe. Best friends forever. Remember? The sound file died with a whimper. I had been right. There's really no value in a 2-century-old message. I left the chest for the morning, curled up, and went to sleep. Footnote. Level up. New perk. Horse sense. You are a swift learner. You gain an additional 10% whenever experience points are earned.